Idaho down to probably central Utah, over to Nevada and Colorado. So I kind of go all over the place. And my service truck is one of the first ones with the new 7.3 Godzilla.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice,
it's actually pretty good. I like it, other than going up canyons. Gets like 2.5 miles to the gallon. but it keeps up with everybody else. And this is a big truck. It weighs about 17,000 pounds with all my tools in it and equipment.
Wow. So that's probably pretty fun to drive around.
It is. I know the 10 speed's pretty awesome too.
Oh, sweet. So I know you started out as a lot tech, you said. Take me through kind of like the journey that you had. Obviously, we had started working together, I think in 12 or 13.
Yeah, 12.
Got to work. So kind of tell us kind of what you did and kind of went on before we started working together.
So I actually worked at another dealership as a sales lot tech. And then I had the opportunity to go to another dealership to be a service lock tech, with the eventual climbing the ladder of going to a technician. So I started from the very bottom. I went parking cars and washing cars. And then from there, I got their opportunity to go into the lube bay. And this is before Quick Lane. Quick Lane did not exist at this time. It was just starting to be something. And we only had 3 bays, I believe. And I started doing that. And then I went and worked with it. I became an apprentice. I worked with a technician for about a year. It was about a year. And he showed me the ropes, how to work on vehicles, how to diagnose, and all that kind of stuff. And then after that, I went on the line and became a service technician and started to become flat rate. And I did that there for about a year and a half. And then I moved away from there, and I went and worked at the airport, and I worked on my first job there was work on aircraft refuelers. So trucks that would refuel aircraft.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to another company at the airport that worked on aircraft de-icers. So I worked on $1 million trucks, and these were actually pretty well advanced. Yep, right there. And that's what they call a JBT Aerotech. And the basket right there, the person actually drives it from in there. There's no one in the actual cab of the truck when they're actually de-icing the aircraft. It's called a one-man drive.
Okay.
So they have a joystick in the center, and they can go forward, backwards, left, right, and they can de-ice aircraft. So I learned a lot on those. I mean, this is hydraulics, fluid dynamics. You got to heat the fluid, a lot of electrical. I learned a lot on these, and it was about 5. I did it for about 5 years. And I started that company's service department from the ground up. Like, we had a blank shop with nothing in it.
That's pretty impressive. You know, I've got some experience with those de-icers. I have been inside the plane in Colorado with the wife, and we were traveling and had a layover in Colorado, and I have watched those planes work. So that's my experience with those planes, or those trucks.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. There's a lot to them. They're no joke. Yeah, and that's doing a 4-man de-icing right there.
Okay.
And they use propylene glycol. So they have type 1 and type 4. And so type 1 is heated to about 120, 130 degrees. Spray that to get all the ice and snow off. And then type 4 is like slime. And that keeps the snow and ice off until they can take off. It gives them a holdover time, is what they call it. So if they got to stop and wait for about 20 minutes before they can take off.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I kind of experienced that. I mean, we were sitting on the runway for like an hour when they were doing that. It seemed like it took forever, but I mean, obviously it's got its importance. If you're doing air travel, you definitely don't want to have any issues while you're up there. So
it's heavily regulated. So I had to make sure those things were perfect, because FAA can come out anytime and pick a random truck and inspect it. And if it's not right, things go bad pretty quick.
You really got a lot of good experience kind of growing up through the different levels in the dealership world to then come over into this and then kind of get a foothold and really kind of grow your knowledge and experience then.
Yeah, and it was just me and another technician that worked on 12 trucks and
Oh,
6
wow.
support vehicles. So I had to learn real quick, and because I really didn't have much support, um, because there's other stations, but they're in other states. So I
Okay.
figured out quick. I had a whole giant book full of schematics, and they're not like Ford schematics. I mean, these are designer drawings, like the CAD system. So
Sure.
you got to follow the different pages, and it was interesting. I learned a lot
Right.
from it. It was a very good experience.
Good, good, good. So I know, I guess maybe probably about a few months or 6 months after you had became a tech is when you and I had met. And
Yes.
you ended up working with the crew of technicians that I had. So um, for a lot of the dealerships or shops out there that aren't aware, there are a lot of bigger dealerships that are very successful with using a system of teams. And
Yes.
uh, something I tell you, I can have a lot of experience about from working in different dealerships across the country. There are some dealerships that love it and do very well with it, and there are other dealerships that cannot wrap their head around the concept of it. They don't understand what you mean by team. They think each individual advisor is like a dispatcher or a favoritism type person. They don't understand how that advisor has to help feed all of the technicians on that team and do their best to spread the work equally based on not only the work coming in, but the work that that person can handle with their skill set. And so that's a little bit of a juggling act that any good experienced advisor can handle and make those technicians money as well as the advisor a pretty good amount of money.
And I've only experienced teams. I've never experienced where it was a free for all, and
Mhm.
that's all I've known. And actually, I grew up in the mechanic world. I mean, my father's been doing it for now
Right, right.
40 years,
Oh, wow.
and in my stall is right next to his.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and our stalls are huge. I mean, you think of a normal stall,
Mhm.
put 4 of them end to end. I could put
Oh,
2
wow.
large buses in my bay.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So,
nice.
and when I was at the other place, the my father's boss was like, "Hey, I need you to come work for us," and he bothered me for about a year and a half, and I finally said, "You know what? Let's give it a try. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And it's not been too bad. I mean, I my own service truck, and it's a lot more freedom, but a lot more responsibility because you're
Yeah.
driving a company vehicle.
Yeah. So with that, you say you're going around and working on a lot bigger vehicles. How far? What's your perimeter for travel? Do you just stay in like a certain area there in
Yeah,
Utah?
um, about a 20-mile radius, but we'll go even
Okay.
further. So if there's a broken down Pierce fire truck, because I also work on Cummins and Caterpillar, so I don't
Okay.
just work on Ford engines. I've gone almost a Wendover a few times, so that's about a 45 to an hour drive from where I'm at,
Yeah.
and going out there and working on stuff. I've gone to places up. There's I don't know. There's a lot of places I've been to that I've had to go work on different vehicles.
That's yeah, that's definitely a learning curve for you, I'm sure, compared
Oh
to just being at a spot and just having the work come to you.
yeah.
Now you're getting told where the work is.
And I have experience with service trucks because I had one when I was at the airport because I had to go
Okay.
and drive around and I had a service truck on a little smaller scale. So when I went into that dealership, it was, hey, we're putting you in a service truck. This is what we want to
Good.
do, and I want that. I like being mobile, and honestly, I like talking to people too. So if I'm going out to work on even just a regular customer's car, I like it. I mean, I like talking with customers and working on their car.
Yeah.
They kind of call me an anomaly because I can also fix vehicles and talk to people and talk to them
Yeah.
appropriately as you would, talking from a company standpoint. You can't
Yeah.
go all willy nilly talking to people. You got to be
Yeah,
careful what you say.
that's definitely something. I mean, we were pretty lucky. I think we had a pretty good group of people,
Yeah.
at least with our team, but I was as well as in the dealership that we met some technicians over the years that they're a little rough and gruff, you know, nothing against them, but they don't talk to customers, you know, they just work on the car.
Yep.
And, you know, that's all fine and dandy. Everybody's got their comfort zone, but it is nice when, especially you have in today's day and time where customers always feel like they're being pressured by the person that they drop their car off with, that sometimes that technician gives them a little bit of appeasement, if you will, to make that purchase a little more comfortable.
I've had to do that. I've had to talk to customers and I'll show them. It's like, you know what? Why don't we just go look at it instead of talking about it?
Yeah.
And once you show a customer, sometimes they go, oh, okay, that makes complete sense. Get it fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it kind of makes that blow of the expense a little bit easier too.
Yes. They're like paying money for something they can't see.
Yeah.
And that's hard for some people. And the best thing I found is you got to hear the customer, listen to them. So
that's the key.
Sometimes they just want to be listened to. If they just want to talk about all the world and how terrible it is, and we're just making it worse, let them talk. Don't interrupt them. Let them talk. But, you know, then bring them back. You got to bring them home a little bit and go like, okay, this is what's going on. I'm not here to ruin your day. But if you want your vehicle fixed, this is what we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, if it's broke, you got to fix it. Unfortunately, sometimes it costs a little bit more than others to get that repair made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You get, but I learned a lot from you when I was just starting. I mean, I was very green. I was 19 years old, probably. Yeah. I'm now 29 years old.
Wow.
So I've been doing this for 11, almost 12 years now. And the experience with you was great. I mean, it was one of the best experiences I ever had, because you were helping me, because you knew that I was green. You knew I had no idea what I was doing. And you were like, and you would give me steps. You're like, Nick, let's just do this, this, and this, and this. And we'll get to the end. We just need to do these 4 or 5 steps.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta follow the process. And that's really kind of the key. You've really got to kind of take every customer with kid gloves, the good ones, the bad ones, the really hard ones.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes it easier as you grow in the business. But having that good starting point, if you're a technician and you've got a good advisor, it makes, I think, your job a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
And being able to work with that advisor when you're in the middle of a car and you think you're focused on the job at hand, and that's great, but you don't know how the work is being sold up front. You don't know if time has been bought. And then I think we talked about that a while back, to where it's good if you have that kind of symbiotic relationship, to where when the advisor says, hey, I need you to pause on this, we've got to get this one done, I was able to buy some time, and you can jump off and switch. That's really kind of a key. And with a lot of dealerships I've been to across the country, as an advisor or a service manager, I've seen where a lot of dealerships struggle on their technician side, because their technicians are very one-sided. They only work on one car at a time. They don't know how to multitask, and it's kind of a struggle.
Or they only work on one type of vehicle, or one part of the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, I only do suspension work. Well, then I guess you're not getting work today.
Yep, definitely. I think Billy Bob even said in there that he got to love the ones that like to talk the world. So that's definitely, you get a lot of those. I know they want to talk your ear off.
And sometimes I'll sit there and just talk with them. If I got time, I'll talk with them, and they feel a lot better and feel a little bit more at home, and then they feel way better about what they're doing.
Right.
You gotta be a part of what is going on with them, and understand their feelings. You can't just be cold and dark, because that gets you nowhere.
No.
So that's important.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you, with everything that's going on right now, you know, there's a lot of people that say it's politics involved. There's a lot of people that say it's different issues with manufacturers and stuff. What have you heard? What's your take on the big question right now with the supply chains and the chips? What is Ford kind of trickled down that you've been able to hear that some folks might not be aware of, as far as what's going on in that regard?
Well, there is a lot that goes in any part, not just chips, to get to us, and even the manufacturer. There's a lot that goes involved with it. And what I've heard is they kind of slowed down with the manufacture of chips because they started, well, like Ford, I think, did some manufacturing of like the ventilators and stuff for COVID.
Right.
And they slowed down production, and because they were keeping people away from each other, then all of a sudden now the demand's back, and they're like, oh crap, we need to get this stuff, and they're having a hard time getting it. And same with parts. I mean, we've had lead time on parts that were months, or we would get a little blip that says, we don't know when we'll have it, so we'll let you know. And then we just go, oh, okay, I guess that's the way it's going. Because sometimes I'd order a block for a truck that I'm rebuilding an engine for, like, let's say 6-7 power stroke. I'm doing a short block. To get one, it was taking up to 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And then you got to tell that to the customer, and they don't understand that. It's like, I wish I could fix this for you right now, but I don't have the parts to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's your paycheck, and if you put too many things on the back burner, that really hinders the weekly or biweekly paycheck.
Yep, it makes it very difficult. It's getting better. Parts are becoming easier to come by. Just about a week and a half ago, I had a motor go bad in a 650, and I had the block within less than a week.
Wow.
Incredible. Had the block. I had all my parts I needed, even the little nuts and bolts, because Ford's very heavy on one-time use bolts and nuts and washers and everything and gaskets. Even got all that stuff, and I had the motor put back together and out of the shop within 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
So it's getting better. But I did hear down the grapevine that supposedly we were going to get sent vehicles without chips in them, because I don't know how true that was. It was like, hey, we might get trucks that might not have any chips in them, no computers, no nothing, because they were running out of space in their old holding facilities where they would store the vehicles before they went for shipment. So we're like, we're just going to send it to you, and then you'll just install them when we get them.
I can see some pros and cons behind that. I mean, you know, it'd probably be a pain in the butt getting them off the delivery truck to kind of load them into the lot. And I can only imagine. I wonder if Ford's going to have a labor op code for pushing vehicles from getting PDI'd to a parking space.
Yes.
This one took 3 technicians to do.
Yeah. Well, Ford's actually getting better with their warranty op codes. So for labor times, they're getting better. They're starting to understand that it doesn't take 3/10 to do a pinpoint test. When the pinpoint test wants you to do a manual regen, do a full drive cycle, and then do another manual regen. That's like 3 to 4 hours right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And now they're allowing us to allow us to punch that time to get that, which is very nice. Ford's starting to realize, and other places are doing it too, not just Ford.
Now that's a good key. And that's something I see all the time. I see a lot of on social media, a lot of people, you know, advisors talking about the techs talking about the advisors. The one key thing I tell you as a technician that I can always stress is make sure you punch your times. Whether you use the old school, because I know they're out there. I've worked at a couple here not too long ago that still use an actual time clock machine and a time card clock on and off of a vehicle. Yes.
Okay.
It's mind-boggling to me to see. They also have a time punch for clocking in and out. They don't key into a computer.
Never experienced that.
Yeah, but this was kind of an old school dealership that still behind the times. A lot of I've been told since leaving Utah and moving to this Midwest area that being in the Midwest, it's about 20 years behind the curve. And I was like, wow, what do you mean by that? You know, and I mean, obviously I understood the terminology, but I really didn't fathom that until I actually started to see it. And it's more so in the realm of accessories than it is service. I mean, the service part, the working on the car, the greeting the customer, that's the same. But the technology that a lot of the dealerships have in place, they might have the original Reynolds and Reynolds, which is slowly being pushed to that newer system, the Era Ignite, they call it, or they run the CDK. They have the old CDK. They don't even have the new program called Drive, or there's even a new Drive Direct, I think now.
We use CDK, but I think evolving, like they've changed a lot of programs that we use. So there's a lot of things that are changing for us in that realm. But yeah, I still use an old screen that looks like DOS. That like in and out of. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And you clock
Yeah.
it out, and you have to do manual punches and all that kind of stuff on the vehicles. And that was something I had a hard time doing again, because I was like, I got to get in the habit of, I'm starting to work on this. I need to punch in.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a representative for the manufacturer, and they got to have it documented. It's all a legal standpoint.
Yep. And it makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's a little extra step, but you need to do it. It's warranty. They have to justify paying that money to the dealership for fixing their vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's and what I find interesting too is people think that we're directly Ford, and we're like, no, we work for Ford, but we're not Ford.
Right.
And people, they're like, why can't you guys do this? We're like, well, we're not directly Ford. So I don't know. You would know more about that than me.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends on the dealership and the manufacturer that you represent. You know, and again, there's so many different ways that you could explain that. I know at the store that we had worked together at, which that company and all their stores are kind of the same. It doesn't matter what brand or umbrella that dealership building is under, you worked on everything. Now, obviously, you couldn't do the warranty work for those other makes and models because it has to go back directly to that manufacturer. There's op codes, reporting systems, and programs you have to have in place, tech software that you might not have. But the actual gist of the general repair and diagnostic, as long as it wasn't warranty, we would work on it.
Yep. And our dealership works on a lot of absolutely everything. Actually, right now, we're the only dealership probably within a 500-mile radius that will work on Ford chassis motorhomes.
Right. I remember that. There's, even when I was in the southernmost area, so to kind of give folks an idea, again, we're not trying to mention names or anything, but and there's quite a few groups in this area, but it's in a pretty large radius of the area of Utah around the Salt Lake Airport. And there is, if you've never been to the Salt Lake area, there is probably within 25 miles of that airport. I think the last time I did like a Google search and did a zip code search for dealerships, there was 74 dealerships in like a 25-mile radius.
Yeah. And these are manufactured. Yeah. Manufacturer, not just like mom and pop shops.
Yeah. And then the mom and pop shops, you know, there was double that easily.
Oh yeah.
And that's where it always, like we've talked before, it used to crack me up how everybody would come in and, you know, always be leery about the dealership because, you know, you dealerships are way more expensive. But we've got all this competition from mom and pop automotive and Joe Blow automotive, you know, so there's no way that we could be more expensive. I mean, you know, yeah, we have all of our dealer matrix markup and, you know, labor rates might be slightly higher because we have different overhead, but for the most part, we're pretty well in line with each other.
Well, and what some people don't understand is that we have the computer systems to be able to work on these vehicles. Right. I mean, a vehicle nowadays has over 17 computers in it, some of them. It's insane. Like the computer that I use in the program is probably worth about $5,000 or more. And there's certain things that I can do on that computer that the mom and pop shop with their Snap-on scanner cannot do. They have no way of doing it unless they go and purchase that program from Ford. But then again, they're still going to be limited because they're not going to have the full access of all what I could do.
And that's, a lot of customers don't realize that.
And that costs money. I mean, there's multiple technicians with these computers. They're dealer supplied. And they go, well, they're $100 for their labor rate. Well, we're more because we have the experience. We got the training. I mean, I go through endless training and it never ends. And I got about 60, 70 grand worth of tools.
I know. And I remember when your box was tiny, like, you know, it was just a little, like a one of those square, like Craftsman type or Matco Tech 1000 starter boxes.
So my little box that I first had was a Snap-on box for my dad from the 80s.
Okay. That's right. That's right.
And then the top box that was on top of it was a Mac box from the same era. And I still have them.
That's awesome.
And then I got my first real roll cart. It was called a muscle cart from Matco because the hood or like the little lid that came down looked like a muscle car. I paid about
Yep.
$1,000 for that. That was the most expensive thing I bought for a tool for a tool storage. And
Yeah.
but
Harbor
now
Freight, baby.
I'm in a service truck. I have completely outgrown any toolbox that I have. So if I ever have to
Yeah.
get out of a truck, I'm gonna have to buy a toolbox.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of like I had somebody I was talking to just I think it was yesterday, as a matter of fact. Um, and they were asking about who I was going to have on the show, and I was telling them a little bit about you. Um, and they were like, "Well, what do you mean a service truck?" I says, "Well, I know we've talked before about that show Gold Rush, and you got those mechanic guys that are working on all those dozers and everything.
Hmm?
That's the kind of truck they drive, is one of those big giant service trucks like that, whether it's a pickup cab bed or like a 650 cab and a utility bed. You've got all that stuff on the truck."
Mine is actually an enclosed service truck. I can get
Oh,
open the door and walk in the back.
okay.
3 storage containers for oil, so I can carry like 100 something gallons worth of oil, of different
Wow.
and used oil, and I can do an oil change anywhere I want with any vehicle
Nice.
I've
Now,
ever.
is that a Transit you're in?
No, it's a F550
Okay.
with that 7.3 I was telling you about,
Okay. Okay.
and as well with that. I mean, it's 9 feet 6 inches tall with the box. So I
Okay.
mean, it's a big truck. So I have endless tool storage in that thing. So
That's awesome.
and it's a dually, so it's pretty wide as well. So it's
Yeah.
got quite a bit of storage for it.
Good.
But
Yeah. It's definitely, really came a long way, like I said, from what it was back when I had first started experiencing in the early 2000s at a dealer group in Florida, um, to where we were kind of experiencing some stuff with that whole realm. So I wanted to take a minute because I know we've got a couple folks on YouTube and a few on Facebook and Twitter that I can see that are watching, and kind of go into some of the stuff that we're all curious about, because when you
okay,
pull up to the dealership, everybody's kind of like eyeballing you,
yeah.
especially if you're a new guy, like, what you got? What kind of car you drive? So tell me what we got going on here.
So that is my 1967 F100.
Who's
For
that cowboy on it?
yeah, me, good look. So that I bought about a year ago because I used to have a
Okay.
96 Ford Bronco. You remember that?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And it was stolen last year.
Yeah, you got that from our old service manager, if I recall.
And I had it for about almost 10 years, 9
Yeah,
years, and it got stolen. So I'm like, insurance money gave me all this money. So I'm like, you know what? I want to go buy a classic truck. So I bought that. Pretty
there
much
you go.
now I had to do quite a bit of work to it to get it
Yeah.
more street worthy.
Okay.
And that one's a 4-speed with the 360 FE motor,
Nice.
4-wheel drive. So it's what I found out, it's a little rare because it's actually got what they call an in and out box transfer case.
Okay. Right.
Have like 4 low. It just goes either 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Kind of like an all-wheel drive system a little bit. That's the best way I can explain it. And it still has all the original running gear, and it's a fun truck. It's fun. I just did a electric power steering conversion on it
Okay.
because it originally was strong arm steering, so it was terrible. Because it's got 33-inch tires on it with they're 12.5 inches wide, which is quite a bit bigger what would have came on it. They would have been what we
Okay.
call pizza cutters.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's one of my vehicles. Then I have my that's at a car show. So there's my 2006 Mustang. I've had that for about 4 years now.
Okay.
It's got Ford Performance hot rod cams, Mach 1 intake. It's lowered. What else have I done to it?
The Shelby front end's nice. Did you put that on or buy it like that?
I bought it like that.
Okay.
And I found out that's like a $3,500 conversion to convert
Oh,
it
yes.
a Shelby front end. And that's what caught my eye on it because I thought it was somebody that was trying to make it into a GT 500. Then I don't like that. Like I don't like it when people try to make something it's not.
Yeah.
But all he did was just did the front end conversion, and he didn't put the Cobra badge on it. It still has the GT badges on it. So it's not something it's trying, not be.
And if I can see right, it looks like it's got the Celine wheels on it.
Yes, so they're American Muscle 20-inch,
Okay.
but they're to look like the Celine wheels, which I love. I absolutely love those chrome wheels. They don't make them anymore. And this was actually down in Tucson, Arizona. That El Camino is my uncle's. He
Okay.
quite often. He finally convinced me to come down, so I got some drag wheels and tires and got some skinnies up front on it, and it is a blast in that car to go down the track. Not very fast. I mean, it's about 12.9 car.
Yeah. It's fun to drive. Fun to have a good time in.
410 gears help out a lot. It's got 410 gears with the posi, so it's not the stock running gear. I think there were 373s were stock on that one.
Okay. Then I think this was your towing vehicle down to Tucson, right?
Yep. So that is my 2005 F350 with a 6.0. I bought it with 48,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
It sat in a garage for probably 10 years. And I bought that. And this is a little bit more updated picture because before it was completely stock. It had the grandpa rims and tires on it. And so I finally put a leveling kit on it and put some wheels and tires on it. So it's not so grandpa.
There you go. There you go.
But it did great. But I did lose an alternator halfway down in Page. But I brought all my tools with me because I'm overly cautious. An alternator went out in Page. So I walked over to O'Reilly's and bought an alternator and had it changed probably within 10 minutes because those alternators were right on top. So it was cake to change that alternator. Yeah. So not too bad. Now it's got about 60,000 miles on it now. Still looks brand new.
There you go. Now, I think you had already left because we had talked about you wanting to grow and get more experience, and you had moved on to the airport. I had with everything that I've got off to the side, been doing custom accessories for many years since 2007, and the opportunity came where it was, hey, we kind of need your help and running the department. And so I took over the accessories and turned that into a pretty good gig. We were really doing a lot out of there, but you're kind of dabbling in that a little bit as well, right?
Yes.
I think you had mentioned you've done some stuff to this little Bronco here that you sent me.
So that's a demo vehicle, and I've been doing accessories too because sometimes there's nothing to do. I do accessories, and they're cake. They're not that bad. And this one I think had the Sasquatch package, front and rear lockers with the soft top.
Okay.
And I should have sent you the picture with what I was done with it, but I put a Warn winch on it.
Nice.
The rigid light bar that goes on the roof, and a drawer system in the back, and a table that folds down. And Ford has done an amazing job with this Bronco. Like the easeability of putting accessories on it is amazing. Because where the light bar goes on top of that roof, on the windshield, there's already pockets for it. You just got to pop out the little covers, and there's bolts there. There's wiring all ready to go. You don't have to run wires all over the place and put holes in the firewall anymore.
And for our friends that don't know, that aren't Ford folks, that those kind of two darker spots above the windshield is where those covers are that you're talking about. And those are able to be used for not just like a light bar, but if you have either any type of aftermarket company, from different popular lighting aspects to roof rails to just about anything you could think of that you could mount on top of the vehicle, they are utilizing the factory mounting points. Ford, I know, has the roof rails, and they've got basket kit options that are available. I mean, the accessory market through Ford accessories has really just exploded when the Ranger and the Bronco have came out. And now with this whole overland market that's been out for the past 10 or 12 years and now kind of really taken off the past 5 to 7 years, it's really exploding around the Bronco.
Yep. And it's what Ford does is they have an accessory like catalog. It is just completely full of things that you can put on this thing. It's just incredible. Like I go in and look at the instructions to put this stuff on. It's 4 pages worth of instructions that you could put on there. They did a really good job, and all the wiring too, because like there's wiring up by the grill, there's wiring in the back for accessories, so you can hook it up to the uplifter switches that are up on the roof. They've done an incredible job with it, and it's a fun little guy. This one had the 2.7 liter twin turbo EcoBoost engine, and it was a rocket for what it is, and it was good to drive. I drove it up to Idaho and back for a weekend after I put some of the accessories on it. And this was in Idaho here. Fantastic off-road. I love my old Bronco because I had a 96 Bronco. I thought it was the most amazing thing off-road. Then I got in this, and I trust this far more than I would my other Bronco. And then I got another truck that I'm putting accessories on too, another Bronco. Putting a winch on it, and you could put lights right next to where the mirrors are, and there's wiring all there ready to go. And it'll actually say accessory ready on points on the vehicle. It'll show you a little symbol and a little arrow saying, hey, you can put accessories here. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that's where really a lot has changed over the years, even since been in the dealership world with the accessories. I think it's really kind of grown, and I really miss being in that world of it. Granted, I love what I do in addition to the parts and service desk. I mean, online has been really, really fun. A lot of folks have really been kind of picking up the buying everything online, especially with everything that happened in 2020. It's really came a long way.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job of them. And I don't know if Jeep does that kind of stuff. I don't even know if Jeep does that, where they have accessory ready points on their vehicles.
I know they've got some, I think they call it like the shop in a box, or they've got stuff in a box, like their whole lift kit on the Mopar side. You can do like the 3-inch or the 6-inch lift kit, and it comes in like a wooden crate that's all Jeep branded. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
A lot of the Mopar guys know what I'm talking about for the short stint that I worked at Chrysler, which was
kind of like what they had with the Demon, where they had like the crate you'd buy for $1, and it was a crate full of parts for drag
all the
racing.
Demon goodies. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Kind of the same idea. It's kind of Mopar's thing. Everything comes in a crate, and it's all branded or stencil sprayed with, it looks like it's spray painted on there. It's kind of a neat concept.
Like Ford needs to step up their game a little bit. That's kind of cool. I want a cool big crate to open up.
Yeah, well, Mopar and Ford do have probably the best stand-up displays that I've seen over the years, like going to SEMA and stuff. The Bronco displays, as far as like how they have their accessories mounted, are by far some of the best. Mopar's got, when it comes to their Jeep accessories, they really focus on that because that's where their market's at when it comes to customizing. It's on the Jeep side.
And now Ford's dabbling into that because they realize, there's a market here, and people are going insane over these Broncos. Well, every Bronco that comes into our dealership is already sold. There's not one for sale. And the demos, we have a couple demos, I think 3 of them, they're already sold and ready. When they've hit their mileage to be eligible for being sold, they're already sold.
Yeah, it's insane. I know. So at SEMA, Ford does what they do called the Ford Out Front. In addition to their massive booth they have in the center of Central Hall, they have an area where they've got Mustangs with all the popular names. Von Gittin, Chelsea Denofa's out there. They're doing donuts and drifting. And usually Ford has something a little extra going on. Roush is sometimes out there. You've got Ford Performance out there, which Ford Performance actually didn't make it out this year. I guess now that since they're in North Carolina, they didn't want to take the hike. But they actually had a Bronco display out there, which you can see online. There's a lot of folks that have posted about it across the internet. Really, really a cool setup. It was kind of giving you the experience of the Bronco and what it's capable of, from going in and out of like a creek scenario, going over different levels of terrain. They were showing you the camera systems. They showed you how the electronic steering brake, I guess, works if you're trying to get around a sharp corner in a trail. And then they had a really big man-made metal hill. at like a 35 or a 40-degree angle, and then it had an upward and a downward angle. Really pretty neat. Very
to
impressive.
show off like the approach angle and dispatch angle. Yeah, when I took the one that I had off road a little bit, awesome. I mean, I was going through some stuff that would make you slow down, and this Bronco just took it. It didn't care. The suspension is awesome on it. I know most folks are like, they didn't put a solid axle on it, which I was one of those people because I'm like, I want a solid axle. But like my old Bronco was a twin I-beam. And it was actually really good off-road because it had the ability to go a little bit faster. So Jeeps were struggling to keep up with me. And I'm just scooting across that terrain and not having much of an issue. It's still pretty stiff because twin I-beam's known to be a little stiff, but it's better. And this one has just as much articulation, especially if you have the sway bar disconnect. And you can disconnect it with a load on it. With a load on it, because the Jeeps, I guess I've heard some Jeep owners say you got to pray and hope all the stars are aligned to get them to disconnect. I don't know how true that is. That's what I've heard from a few people.
It's hard to say. I mean, I've not got a lot of experience with the Jeeps other than riding them, renting them occasionally, but that's, my heart lies with Ford, even though I like everything. I appreciate all the GM and all the Mopar stuff out there, but definitely some great stuff. So for our last few minutes here, I wanted to have a little fun. Kind of talk about some of our fun experiences that we have dealt with over the years, from the goofy customers to the strange ones that we see. It's like there's a whole new breed out there. I don't know if this pandemic has changed them or not. Aside from the fact that everyone now carries this invisible entitlement card in their wallet. So like when they're looking for a business card or something to have you contact them, they always flash that entitlement card, like you're supposed to care about something. Now you probably don't experience it as much as a technician, but as an advisor, it was pretty amazing. I wanted to give you a flashback, because this is going back to when we worked together, and I've kind of blocked out some faces and stuff on this picture because we never want to upset anybody, even though sometimes we talk about people. And in this business, especially the advisors, man, I tell you what, we can rack our brains with some of the stuff that we get. We're like the filter, we have to decipher the BS that we get in the service drive so it gets to you and hopefully makes sense. So this one's a stroll down memory lane right here. So
that poor dog.
And I know you remember this person, but for those that are watching that can't quite tell, if you look close into this picture, you will see that the head of this little poodle is in this lady's elbow, and its chest cavity is kind of down on the inward portion of her elbow with her legs hanging down. Now, you might wonder why she's holding this dog like this. And I think you ended up coming up getting a cup of coffee just so you could see it. But she's drinking a cup of coffee and eating a donut.
With a dog in her arms.
With the dog in her arm, hanging by its neck.
Let's just call it what it is. It's the neck. She's holding the neck. And the dog didn't care. It was just like,
I know.
I'm good.
It's normal. This is normal.
Probably did that from birth, so the dog probably doesn't know any better.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you see some interesting characters. And this isn't anywhere. It's not just you're seeing this at a dealership. I mean, you walk into Walmart and you're like, oh, yep, I'm in Walmart.
Yeah, it's definitely a different breed of folks, or inbreed of folks, which is funny because my wife loves shopping there, and I will go shopping there. I actually just since like I said, we're traveling, I had to get a different light to give me a little bit better lighting in here, but I do shop there occasionally. But I would much rather go to somewhere else other than Walmart.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I have an interesting story for you that I had. It's a little while ago. So I was up where the advisors sit. because I was doing some work on the computer because I had finished a story or something, and I hear this lady go, "Excuse me," like just really abrupt "excuse me," and I'm like, I shouldn't turn around, and I look around, I'm the only person there. I'm like, no, okay, I'll turn around. So I turn around, she goes, "I need you to put this mirror on." I think it was like a side mirror. Maybe she broke off or something. She was in parts department buying it. And she goes, "I need you to put this on." And I'm like, "Okay, we can set you up an appointment and we'll gladly work on it." No, you're doing it for free. I'm like, "Why would we do it for free? This is a business. We have to do this. You need to pay me to do my job, and I'll fix it for you." And I was very calm. I was talking like this. I wasn't screaming at her or belittling her or anything. And she goes, "Well, I had to sit in the parts department for an hour to get this part." And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry. If you have a discrepancy with that, go talk with the parts manager." "Well, the parts manager told me I need to go talk to you guys about putting it on." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. What they're talking about is for us to put it on, but you need to make an appointment and we'll put it on for you. So you're not going to do it for free." And I'm like, "Nope, we will not do it for free." I'm not an advisor, and it's probably not my place, but I was like, "No, like that's not really how it works. And if you have an issue with it, you can go talk to our service manager." And she goes, "Well, how long is that going to be?" And I'm like, "Well, there's some people in there, so you might wait another hour." She stormed off. She's like, "I'm done."
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like some people just expect things for free. It's just like, this is a business. This is how I put food on my table and for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's our mess up, I get it, and we'll make it right.
And then we can work with that.
We'll work with that, but just out of the blue, just saying we're just going to do it for free, and I'm like, it's not really works. And I've encountered some interesting characters on the road when I go to customers' homes, because I would do like the airbag recalls. Big with the what's Takeda or Taco? I don't know. The recall that all the manufacturers are dealing with. Takata. There we go.
Taquito sounds better.
Yeah, taquito. And so I would deal a lot with that, and you get some interesting people. They're not bad people. They're just a little different. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. I notice. So I follow, and I'll give them a shout out here, the folks over at Service Advisor Max. It's a page on Facebook.
Okay.
I think they've got a couple other Instagram account or anything. If you haven't been on it, I highly recommend. And for those watching, if you haven't signed up with Service Advisor Max, I highly recommend liking that page, because I tell you, if you're in the business as an advisor, in a dealership or in a independent shop or a technician, you will get a kick out of this page. I know there's a lot of other good ones out there. There's a sales meme page and mechanics page, but there's a lot that if you haven't experienced on an advisor level, that will crack you up. One of the things I saw in there today, a young lady had posted, oh man, it's awesome. and I've experienced this before, but there was a young lady that had posted and said that she couldn't believe that a customer had called about 2 or 3 hours after they had dropped their car off, asking if it was finished.
Okay.
And she was like, "Okay, well, be more than happy to check." Got the customer's information and couldn't find him anywhere on the computer. Says, "Well, who did you drop your car off with?" "I put it in the night drop." "Okay, well, I apologize. I have the night drops. I'm the person who got them," and was something like the scenario, and they couldn't find the keys. Well, evidently they dropped the keys in the night drop box after the dealership was open for like an hour. Put them in there in an envelope. Not 100% sure if there was a name or anything on the envelope, but then wanted to call and ask if it was done. And I mean, it was in a very nice way. It was really funny because the girl was like, "Well, we don't know who you are or what you wanted, so no, your car's not done." And naturally, it was a raging conversation, I'm sure, after that.
I've had something recently, or I witnessed that happening. So a guy with a truck parked it, didn't pull in the service drive where you'd pull the vehicle, and goes, "Well, my vehicle's here and I need to get it worked on." He goes, "Well, where is it?" "Well, it's parked out there somewhere. Here are the keys." It's like, no. You need to pull in your vehicle into the service drive and we'll check you in. "Well, that's not how I want to do it." And the service writer was just like, "Well, I guess I'm not working on it because it needs to come in here so I get the information off of it for you."
Yeah.
And he was doing as nice as possible. This guy just gets mad and walks off, and then we never saw him again. We're like, tried to work with you, buddy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's the thing, and I've mentioned that in a couple of videos in the past. Is it all comes down to training the customer, and as much as they annoy us and they drive us crazy, I had a similar scenario to that when I worked in Ohio, to where people would park in this empty parking lot behind the Chinese buffet.
Oh no.
And walk across this little street that divided the dealership from the buffet and a bowling alley, and walk in the side entrance that we would normally pull out. And, hey, where am I supposed to pull my car?
Yeah.
Well, you just pull right in over here in the service drive. Oh, okay. Well, my car's out there. Oh, well, where is it? Oh, it's across the street in the bowling alley park.
What?
Is this your first time here? So we can, and I'm thinking, so we can teach you how to do that. Oh, no, I've been coming here for 10 years. And you don't know what to do?
Yeah.
See, that's a problem that would drive me nuts. It takes a simple few moments that first time. Okay, great. And in the nicest way possible, go get your car, pull it over here. And then when that customer comes back that second time for that oil change, they're going to go, where do I go? Oh yeah, I don't want to do that again and have to walk 3 times. I'm going to pull where they told me.
Yeah.
And they might not do it that second time, might be the third time, but they're going to do it.
For us, what I've witnessed is people will walk in the building and go, I need an oil change. Okay, where's your vehicle? Well, it's parked over there. Well, you need to pull it up here. So what we actually did to help that is now we have like a little one-man person booth.
Mm-hmm.
When you drive into the dealership, they pull up to that booth and they actually put like a little sign or something on the vehicle.
Okay.
And then they tell them, okay, now drive through the door. Like the door will open as you drive to it, and you pull in all the way to the next vehicle. It's actually worked. We've probably stopped seeing probably 80% of the people that would walk in asking where to go.
Wow.
It's actually worked out a lot because, people are kind of scared. They're going like, oh, where do I go with this vehicle? Oh, there's a door. But they actually sometimes assume that garage door is where they're working on the vehicles.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's all thanks
they think
to
that.
Jiffy Lube.
And I can't help them with that. I mean, I get it. I mean, they don't know. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is where you need to pull your vehicle in. And the other one is they had their vehicle worked on. Now they got like a text message or an email saying it's done. So they walk in and go, okay, my vehicle's done. Like, who are you working with? I don't know.
Yeah.
You got to remember who you're working with.
Yeah.
Because each advisor is different. Each advisor doesn't know what the other advisor is working on unless that person is out of town. Okay.
Yeah.
So these people are like walking in like, well, who are you working with? So then we got to play the game of, okay, what's your phone number? Okay, what's this? So we can get something information to go, okay, you're working with so-and-so. So you need to go talk to them. Oh, I don't talk to you. No. You need to go talk with the person you had it done with.
Makes amazing sense.
And it happens all the time. And I'm like, don't you want to remember who you dropped your vehicle off with? That's what I would do. I mean, I would surely want to know who has my vehicle.
I always used to say, when people would come to me with that, imagine you're bringing in a briefcase that is going to be perfectly safe and it's got $50,000 in it. And you're going to leave it with someone to hold for a few hours, and then you're going to come back and pick it up.
Yeah.
You're going to ask that person's name and get their phone number if they're holding a $50,000 briefcase or holding 50 grand. I don't know why they can't figure that with their vehicle and consider it the same.
Yes. And I give them the benefit of the doubt the best I can. I mean, people don't always understand that, but they're like, your car is worth quite a bit of money. Wouldn't you want to know where it's going? Like you said, $50,000, most vehicles are 80, 90 grand nowadays.
Yeah.
You're getting a truck. So you would want to know where it is.
Yeah.
Or who
Definitely
has
a good idea.
Yeah.
Definitely a good idea.
What when you're talking about night drops, I like it when they throw the keys in it with no information. And then they call in 3 hours later going, did you figure out what's wrong with my vehicle? What vehicle? Well, it's so-and-so model. Oh, okay. Did you drop it off with us in the night drop? Oh, yeah. Oh, this vehicle. We have no idea what you want fixed.
Well, you could have called me. Well, you didn't leave a phone number.
Didn't leave a phone number. You got to give us that information. I mean, we don't have little things where we can just mind read you. Go, oh, that's what you want.
Or when they put the keys in the night drop with no envelope and it's just a key or a bunch of keys, no remote.
Oh, yes.
And they're like, well, you could have just hit the clicker and found my car. Well, there's no clicker. You must have kept that. Oh, I did. Well, did you find my car? Nope.
And what
Oh, you
people
didn't?
need to understand too is we're not out here trying to grab your money and screw you over. I know that
No.
some think that, and they've had those experiences. You
And
know,
some do.
some do. And I like to see myself as an honest mechanic. Like if they ask for something to be done and it doesn't need to be done, I'll tell them like, no, you don't need this service. They're like they want a trans service at 10,000 miles. I've had that happen. And
yes.
and I'm like, you don't need to change this fluid. Do you just drive it home and back? Oh yeah. And I'm like, this fluid nowadays lasts so much longer. Yeah. I would be doing you a disservice to change your fluid. And that's money out of my pocket, but I'm not going to screw people over. I don't do it. Does not sit right with me, and I won't do it.
Oh, you're one of the few rare breed. I mean, there's a lot of great folks out there. And I tell you, over the years, from even when I got out of the dealership world and I started working an extended service thing, that's something needed, even though it didn't, just so they could make a buck. It's really, really frustrating.
And I will be honest 100% with them. And I'm like, you don't need this. Or if there's something more wrong with it, and I'll tell them why and make them understand why, you'd be better off doing this service instead of this one. Like put your money where it's going to be better. And I always tell people, they go like, when am I supposed to do this? Look at your owner's manual. It'll tell you. It tells you all the information you need to see for when to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's like the sock in the dryer. It goes in the glove box and never comes out.
Yeah, very true. And then they go and get their I've had them go get their service or their manuals, and they go, oh, this is when you're supposed to do this and this and this. I'm like, yeah. They're like, no, great. And I guess some people don't understand that, but it's been that way for how long? 50, 60 years of.
Well, and now they're all digital.
Oh, that's true. Are they not doing?
A lot of manufacturers are going digital now.
No kidding. I like paper. I'm maybe a little analog for my age, and I like paper, and I like having that manual.
Yep.
And I actually look at my manual on my truck all the time. I'll go like, what do I need? Okay, what services do I might need? Well, I just hit 60,000 miles. Well, I did trans service on it. And yeah, it's interesting. You get some people, or better yet, you get the heavy duty world where diesel trucks are sitting and idling all
continually
day long. I just had a truck the other day I was working on that 14,000 miles on it. It's a 2018 F650, had 5,700 hours on the engine.
Yeah.
And they were wondering why the engine was having issues. And I'm like, when do you do your oil changes? Every 5,000 miles. That's only 3 oil changes that vehicle's had in the 5,700 hours. I'm like, oh, and that's something different. No one has taught them that is a thing you need to do. If you're doing off engine hours, 250 hours. That's the rule of thumb.
That comes to that owner's guide too. I think that in some of the heavy duty vehicles, they even have a maintenance guide that talks about hours as well.
Yes, they do. And actually Ford is starting to work off of engine hours now, like for warranty. Because like the big trucks have 5-year, 250,000 mile powertrain or 10,000 hours of engine time. And I think that's the only time they do it. I don't know if they do it in light duty vehicles, because I don't do a lot of light duty warranty.
Yeah, I know they ask about it on the regular light duty diesels, but I don't think they do too much in the gas.
Like when I do my warranty claims, I have to put the engine hours in it now. Doesn't matter if it's got 1,000 miles on it. They want to know the engine hours.
Yeah, it's definitely if you're watching and you're not in the dealership world, so much has changed when it comes to doing the warranty work and keeping tabs on everything, because the manufacturers want to know every little bit that happens. And they use it just not as a tool to get at the technicians. Like a lot of people say, it's a tool for them to learn and grow and how they need to adapt the vehicles as well.
Yeah, because they go, oh, we got so many warranty claims on this one part of the vehicle. What do we need to do to fix it? And they want to, because they don't want to keep paying those claims.
Yeah.
And so they want to fix it and figure it out. And I'd seen them do it. Sometimes it takes them a couple of years to go, okay, maybe we should change this design. And they do. but sometimes it's a little slow, or I feel like it's slow, but I don't know how it works in the manufacturer world. You know, retooling and everything's got to be horrendously expensive.
Yeah, definitely it is. Well, we are nearing our hour here, Nick. And so I want to take a minute and thank you very much for joining us on our first live episode here. We are going to be doing another one here on Sunday with a gentleman you know, Dakota Bradley, who great young gentleman who's been rising through the ranks as well. And really, really proud of him and what he's done, and really impressed with where you've gone in life. And glad to see that you've, you know, like you said, with your journey starting out as a lot tech, growing to a C level, B level, or an A level tech, and now doing the heavy equipment and the diesel work that you've done. It says a lot. And for those that are out there that have been watching that are newer in the business and the industry on the tech side, you can definitely grow and go places.
Absolutely. But you need to put the effort into it.
That is the key.
It's not just going to come to you, and you need to take the time and do the training.
Yes.
And you don't have to go to some fancy YO Tech or anything like that and spend $30,000 on tuition. I didn't do that. I worked on the job and learned on the job.
Yep.
And Ford paid for my training. Ford pays for every bit of training that I do.
Yep.
And so if you at least have the aptitude of turning a wrench, you can figure it out and they'll help you. And that's not just Ford. Ford, Dodge, doesn't matter who it is. They all do it. So
they all do.
Maybe it works for you to go and do YO Tech, but personally for me, I tell people if they want to get in the industry, go to a dealership, work from the bottom up, and just do it, and work with the training that they give you.
Yeah, and a lot of shops are hurting now for technicians. You know, skilled labor is getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah,
schools aren't offering it. A lot of colleges aren't offering it. So, like I said, if you can get into a dealership and you've got the will and the drive, and you can show them that you're willing to do your best, they'll show you that they're willing to train you up so you can learn more and grow more and increase your paycheck.
Yes, I was just going to say that it will increase your paycheck because they'll go, okay, well, he's doing all this training. Let's give him a couple more bucks an hour. And this is flat rate, so it's not hourly. And which I don't know. I mean, other dealerships are different, but like our dealership, it's flat rate. For what the work you do is what you get paid.
Yep. And that might be something good to talk about on another episode. Maybe we can have you on and talk about flat rate.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because there are some folks out there that don't know it, don't understand it, and therefore don't like it.
And I have to explain it all the time what flat rate is. The best way I could do it is commission. Like if you're a salesman. Yeah. Kind of the same thing. But anyways.
Multitask. But so again, thank you so much, Nick, for coming on. Stick around. I'll touch base with you after we end. But again, I appreciate you being here and showing your support. And we'll look forward to hopefully having you on again.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll talk to you here in just a minute.
See you guys.
All right. So again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into our show tonight. We really appreciate having everyone here on our kind of premiere episode of the Parts and Service Desk. So again, check us out on Sunday. We're going to have Dakota Bradley on. I think you'll really enjoy him if you did with Nick tonight. He's a fun guy too. So two great guys to have on our first two shows. So stick around, keep watching. Remember, if you would, please, if you like this episode, subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want to get all of our up and coming aspects of what we're doing in the way of live videos or add-ons, make sure you hit that bell. And we do appreciate you again for watching. Thanks so much. Have a great night.